This week we head to sunny California to check out 3 new titles from 2K Games. Uncover the secrets of the past in the Bureau, XCOM Declassified, find out what's new and different in NBA 2K14, and climb into the squared circle with the superstars of WWE 2K14. This is Player Attack. But first, the latest gaming news, and while we all figured that Grand Theft Auto 5 would probably be leaked sometime before its September 17th launch, we didn't necessarily expect it would happen 3 weeks out, and we certainly didn't predict that a major console company would be behind it. That is exactly what happened though, as Sony innocently allowed European PlayStation gamers to download the digital pre-order portion of the game over the weekend. Clever gamers quickly started figuring out that they could access all sorts of stuff, including the impressive soundtrack listing and audio files from an assortment of cutscenes. Sony has since come out and apologised for the mix-up, deleting the files and preventing gamers from downloading the 18GB title, but the spoilers are already out there. Rockstar was also in the headlines this week for a different reason, following a family shooting in Louisiana. An 8-year-old boy fatally shot his 87-year-old caregiver while she watched TV. At this stage, police are not claiming a direct motivational link between the two, but they have announced that the boy was playing Grand Theft Auto 4 shortly before the incident. The Sheriff's Department is now questioning both how a young child was able to get his hands on a loaded firearm and a copy of a game intended for fans at least 10 years older. In other happier news, World of Tanks has officially started beta testing on console, inviting Xbox 360 gamers in North America, Canada and Europe to join in some of the heavily armoured fun. New applicants are accepted on a weekly basis, so if you want to check out some brand new heavy tanks, hop over to the official World of Tanks website and sign up for the beta. Of course, if you would prefer, the full version is still freely available on PC. You will be waiting a little bit longer for the Elder Scrolls Online to reach beta though. ZeniMax Online is reporting a ridiculous level of interest in the game, with more than 3 million people signing up for the beta test already. To put that into context, 2 million people have bought and played Guild Wars 2 to date, and a recent World of Warcraft player count puts the population of Azeroth at 7 million. And speaking of Blizzard, it has been a big week for the studio. Firstly, the first Diablo 3 expansion set has been announced, with Reaper of Souls headed our way sometime in 2014. Think back to Diablo 2 Lord of Destruction. Do you remember Malthael, the fallen Archangel of Wisdom? He's back, and he's now the Angel of Death. It is your job to track him down before he condemns the world to certain doom. To go with this quest, you will of course have a new level cap, new areas to explore, new quests, new monsters, and a brand new character class, the Walking Tank of the Crusader. At this point, Reaper of Souls has only been confirmed for PC and Mac, but game director Josh Mascara has hinted a console version may well be in the works too. But as one game moves forward, another meets its end, with Blizzard also confirming that Time Walker's Reign of Fire, set 21 of the World of Warcraft trading card game, would be its last. The card game has been around for nearly 7 years now, and the most recent set took things out in a blaze of glory, with sought-after loot cards, a fun original gameplay mechanics, and some extra backstory. And finally this week, further evidence that esports are just as compelling as real sports, as the League of Legends World Championship Final sells out the Los Angeles Staples Center in just 1 hour. The venue is typically used for major sporting events, this month's WWE SummerSlam and an assortment of basketball games, as well as big-name musical acts. It can seat around 15,000 people, and while the required computers will diminish its capacity a little, this year's championship audience is expected to be well in excess of last year's 8,000-strong crowd. For more details and to keep up to date with the latest gaming news, head to playerattack.com. But for now, stick around, we've got plenty more still to come.
Eorzea was destroyed. In the face of adversity, we are the chosen. We must become the lifeblood of Eorzea. We must take back this land with might and with magic. Now go forth Conquer! Rule! Take your place!
Pass to Bogdanovich. Now the dish to Anderson. Soft touch off the glass.
NBA 2K14 started off as being that project that was going to be the prelude to our introduction of next-gen systems. And it ended up being, kind of the crowning jewel of the series on our current gen, so 360 and PS3. Interestingly enough, what we found as we were trying to develop all these new things was that many of the things that bothered us, or many things that we wanted to improve, had application on both sides, both on next gen and on old gen. And so it was easy to work in synergy and make sure that we had a consistent game. And that was one of the big things. We wanted an experience that was consistent, whether you were playing your best friend who only had an Xbox 360, or you're buying an Xbox One or a PS4. We wanted the user to be able to pick that game up and find themselves immediately familiar, and yet be able to say, well, the new one is a lot better. We finally partnered with StatSync, and they're just going to be delivering updates to player statistics as soon as those games are over, and they're just going to be pumped in digitally to us. And the nice thing about it is that we created an engine on our side that takes that delta and translates it to immediate deltas within the roster that the user is playing with. So the cool thing about it is that the experience changes based on how good your player is, and that will not be this. You won't be waiting for a roster for a couple of weeks, or for this trade or this injury or something like that. You'll get that update, so your game will be consistently altering from one day to another. So if an injury is really affecting the way Carmelo Anthony is playing, you'll see that decline in his performance, and he won't be the same superstar that he normally is. For years and years, we were married to the shot stick, and we thought that the shot stick, was a very natural way of shooting the basketball. At the same time, we also thought that dribbling with the right stick would allow you to get as many of the cool moves and being able to really feel like you were handling this basketball. And, the question was how to marry it. We found that there were just too many holes in our content to really deliver the experience that we thought that it would generate if it was done perfectly. So instead of shipping a broken version of the Pro Stick, we decided to go with what we did last year, which was that hybrid system where you could switch back and forth between the shot stick and the dribble stick. Now the Pro Stick is the most intuitive way I've ever thought of handling the basketball. I mean, anytime I tap the ball back and forth, I'm getting dribble moves, and all I have to do to get a shot is to now hold it in a particular direction. And I think it's going to open up fun in a lot of ways. And when I say this, I'm being honest, being that I'm as jaded gets as in gaming. I think it's going to open up fun from the standpoint of the fact that it's so accessible that even if you're not somebody who always plays basketball games, you'll be able to pick that system up very, very quickly. I always thought that video games were just as good of a medium as radio to promote artists, to launch careers. I mean, to tap into the entertainment side. And so we finally the record companies are starting to see the same thing, because they used to be like, oh, you want to use our song? You owe us this much. And we're like, no, 6 million users and a gazillion impressions. You don't get that on the radio. So finally, there's this partnership where we're getting the best of music, and they're getting, all of that exposure to their artists, and it's finally giving us the ability to say, hey, you know what? Our soundtrack is as current as what you're listening to in the car, so you might as well listen to the game and not play, whatever else that you have going on. Daft Punk, Eminem, Jay-Z's on there. I know Drake is, because that song comes on all the time. Rihanna. I mean, these are really, really big names. So, and I think that those artists I think that being called by LeBron to say, hey, you know what, I actually want to use your song, has a little bit more effect than, hey, this is Rob Jones from 2K Sports. Could I use your track?
SteelSeries has been around for just over a decade now, and the Danish manufacturer has made quite a name for itself in the realm of competitive gaming peripherals. You can find SteelSeries logos on pro gamers around the world, from Team Immunity to Navi and Fnatic, and if you're lucky, you might find one or two on your desk as well. SteelSeries has sorted out a pretty sweet little prize pack to give away to one lucky Player Attack viewer. We've got the freshly launched Siberia V2 Heat Orange headset, a Sensei optical mouse, and a quick gaming service. They are all super sleek. The headset has its own USB sound card, the mouse takes personalization to an all new level, and a dedicated gaming surface has got to be better than dragging your mouse around on that desk. Want one? All you have to do to win your very own SteelSeries prize pack is head to playerattack.com. Follow the links to the SteelSeries competition, fill out your name and contact details, and enter this week's key feature, which is on your screen right now. The competition is open to anyone in Australia and will run all the way up until October 9th, with the winner announced on Player Attack shortly after. For the full terms and conditions, see our website.
Daniel, you're one of the current most popular wrestlers in the world. What did your parents say when you said, I'm going to be a wrestler?
My mom said, you're not going to go to college? And I was like, yeah. My mom was very disappointed. My dad was like, hey, you get one opportunity to live this life. Go live your dream.
What's it like to go through the past archives of the WWE and find all of these great matches and try and recreate them?
It's been amazing. I mean, if you're a wrestling fan, if you're a WWE fan, this is the Mecca right here. We're reliving all the greatest moments, all the greatest matches in WWE history. And so it was a lot of pressure for us because we wanted to make sure that we're telling these stories accurately, that we're going to make sure we have all the right matches that people remember and consider the top matches. So we put that pressure on ourselves to be able to recreate that in the game. And so we spent a lot of time analyzing what are the top matches, making sure we have all the big ones covered, making sure that we can get all the roster that we need to be able to tell these stories, and then work with the WWE to help us in retelling these great stories and these great matches. And so the WWE actually exclusively produced a lot of these videos for us that kind of tell the story leading up to the rivalries that you're going to experience.
Who is the best gamer in the WWE locker room?
See, this is a toss-up. This is a toss-up because there's a debate between like Kofi Kingston and Big Show. Big Show claims that he's like the best gamer, but I don't know if it's true. Kofi's really good.
Hulk Hogan, Ricky Steamboat, Macho Man Randy Savage.
Right.
Was it difficult to get the likenesses or the rights to use those characters?
You know, the first hurdle that we had, we came up with this idea to do 30 years of WrestleMania, and we really wanted to do that because WWE's having this major milestone coming up, WrestleMania 30, and we thought it'd be great to celebrate that. And the first name that came up was Hulk Hogan because he's not with the WWE right now. So we thought, boy, if we can't get Hulk Hogan, we can't do this mode. So that was our big first hurdle. And once we found out that it wasn't even possible to secure Hulk Hogan, everything just went downhill from there. We knew we were going to be able to get all the talent that we needed.
What was your WrestleMania moment? Which was the one thing for you that you were like, I'm so happy that this happened at WrestleMania?
Well, I have to say, WrestleMania 13 in Chicago with Bret the Hitman Hart laying there in a pool of blood, passed out, didn't tap out, didn't say I quit, and it was, a double turn. We went out there and accomplished the task at hand to do the business. We stole the show. We were the semi-main event. It was an iconic match, which will never be forgotten, and again, a part of the turn that helped me turn into one of the biggest baby faces in the history of the business. That match specifically, passing out in a pool of blood, was that moment.
What's improved significantly from the last version of the game?
There's so much. I know, we're focusing on 30 years of WrestleMania as a single-player campaign, but the game itself continues to evolve, and not only just from a fun factor standpoint, you want the game to always be fun, but also from a quality standpoint. We want to make sure that the animations that you see are really fluid, they're responsive, that when you're playing, we want to try to minimize any frustration that you're having with the game. We've added new, what we call OMG moves. These are the really big moments in a match where you interact with your opponent with the environment. So you can do moves like a DDT onto the apron, and you can do a big boot against the opponent's head onto the ring post. Really fun things that the fans like to play and experience in the game. We've really expanded on a lot of those features. So I want fans to know that gameplay is actually seeing a lot of big changes, and they'll notice it right away when they pick up and play the game.
I was playing a little bit earlier. One of the things that I noticed was the strikes have become a lot more fluid. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, striking, we wanted to speed that up quite a bit. So what we've done is we've actually taken every single strike animation in the game and we've sped it up so that the pacing of the strike is much quicker and snappier. And what that does is actually speeds up the whole pacing in the match. So you can get strikes and attacks off much quicker, you can damage your opponent quicker, and you keep the pace and the action flowing throughout the course of the match.
I haven't played video games in a long time. I played 2K14 just now, and it's the most fun I've had playing a video game since I was a kid. Like, most of those new controllers, I can't figure them out for the life of me. This makes it easy for you, and like also the game is just so much fun and lifelike. It was just awesome.
Which match do you want to set up?
Well, I really want to do some fantasy matchups. We have all this great legend talents, guys like Hulk Hogan and Goldberg. I want to do matches like Goldberg-Ryback would be a really cool match. I want to do Brock Lesnar and Ryback. So I really want to do fantasy matchups. I want to see how Hulk Hogan can face against Daniel Bryan or a John Cena, stuff like that. I think those are really cool, fun fantasy matchups that a lot of fans are looking forward to playing after they heard this huge legendary roster that we have.
I don't really play video games myself, but I've been in a bunch of them, and the 2K14 game is the latest, greatest creation that I'm really proud to be a part of, to be able to leave a big enough of a mark on the business that I know and love that was so important that they keep bringing me back into these video games. So I'm truly honored to be here. I don't necessarily sit around and play video games all the time. I'm more of an outdoor guy. I got a chance to play this game before I came out and did the panel at night, and I looked great. It looked like I felt great. The technology just keeps getting better and better. It's almost like being in the ring. And it brought back some memories. Watching the Stone Cold Steve Austin on the 2K14 game brought back a lot of memories and put some chill bumps on my skin.
These are troubling times for our great nation. If the public knew the truth, there would be panic in the streets. Our job is to make sure no one ever knows. We erase the truth.
The Bureau is a strategy tactical action game in which you take the role of William Carter in 1962 with the dawn of an alien invasion. And it was very thoroughly covered up with, cutting things out and blacking them out. But when we meet Carter, he's kind of washed up. He's a known drunk. He's sort of sliding out and washing out of his career. He's been protected by somebody from on high who sees some value in him. So when he happens to be making a delivery when this alien invasion happens, and he gets a chance to shine and come into his true talent and figure out exactly what's going on.
We first heard about this game a few years ago when it was announced at E3. There was a big song and dance about it. Everyone was really excited, and then it disappeared off the radar. What happened there?
It was redacted.
It was redacted. How appropriate. Why? Can you tell us why this particular one was redacted?
Sure. I think actually what happened is we started talking about it a little too early. I mean, every game goes through a ton of change, and what you end up seeing on the screen and what you get on your disc is just a tiny fraction of what was made. So much gets thrown out because it's a process, and you put things in the game and you play them and you see what works and what doesn't. And when it first got showed, it was just too early, and turned out that wasn't the best expression of the game that we could get. And the one that we have now is much better, feels much truer to XCOM, and is just a better game overall, honestly.
So even though some people are making a bit of a song and dance about the fact that, roar, and then it had to be all changed, it was really just another part of the game development life cycle. We on the outside just don't normally get to see it.
Absolutely. I mean, there are other games that have gone through similar changes. They just happens behind the curtain, and they don't come out and tell you about it, and they're like, no, wait, nope, actually, we have a better idea.
What makes this idea so much better than the last one?
Well, the strategies that we're setting up in the tactical battlefield, it's expressed better in the third person because you need to see what's going on around you, and you can better absorb that information and build your plan, build your tactics, and command your guys when you can really see what's going on and kind of pull back from your main character and getting that full view.
What things inspired you when you were writing more than just the titles?
Tonally, there was a movie from the 70s that I really, really enjoyed especially as it started to become the Bureau, we started to hit on the conspiracy stuff. It's called The Conversations, Gene Hackman, and by Francis Ford Coppola. It's a really, really excellent movie about a guy who holds all of these secrets that ultimately end up destroying him. And tonally, it was something that has always been really interesting to me. So that definitely had a pretty huge influence on the game. Also a lot of stuff like From the Earth to the Moon and Apollo 13 and The Right Stuff that really showed that era of scientific development, because you had these guys that were doing essentially mad science, and we wanted to get some of that that very serious mission that they had, but that same aesthetic with all of the the shiny foil and the Mercury era kind of technology. We wanted to get a lot of that in there too.
So this is set in almost an alternate reality Earth, right?
I mean, it's as alternative reality as any work of fiction. But as far as I'm aware, aliens did not actually invade in 1962, but I wasn't there, so...
It depends on how good a job the Bureau does.
Apparently they did a pretty good job if none of us remember it.
So the game hit shelves this month. I know, obviously, people are still playing through the original campaign, but what can you tell us about? Is there any DLC, or where will this game go in the future?
We do have a DLC bonus for pre-order. It's... We went ahead and made an extra side mission, so it's the same length and scope of the side missions you'll see in the game. It's called Code Breakers, and we also have a narrative-focused DLC that's going to be coming out at some point after the game releases.
And that's about it for this edition of Player Attack. Thanks for watching. Next week, there won't actually be a new episode. We're taking a couple of weeks off to catch our breath and maybe play a video game or two. Mark your calendars though, we will be back on September 20th, just in time to deal with the year's most anticipated releases and a major release of our own. Starting September 24, Player Attack will be on air in New Zealand, thanks to the folks at Face TV. You can still catch us on Aurora in Australia and online anywhere in the world, but this is just another way for our Kiwi neighbours to stay up to date. Now, if you really can't do without a Player Attack fix for 2 weeks, don't worry, we have ways of making you happy. Right now we're looking at a bunch of director's cut interviews we are hoping to get online shortly, so that should tide you over. Of course, we are also on playerattack.com, which is updated with the latest news all the time, and we do pop up on both Facebook and Twitter. Our new forums will be getting some love while we're not on air, and we will always respond to emails sent to mailbox@playerattack.com. So, till then, I'm Jessica Citizen, and this is Player Attack.